Welcome to a brand new wave, drowning out the noise that's tame. Liberty whispers through the brave, breaking free from every chain. Nullify the rules they crave, crypto beats that pave the way. Anarchy with minds that's safe, algorithms new dawn today. Out of bounds and out of sight, building futures pure and bright. Escape the grip and win the fight. Welcome into the legacy ride. Beyond control we take a stand, casting off the iron brand. Freedom flowing through our hands, revolution's our command. Decentralize the way we plan, all together we expand. Breaking shackles for the clan, in this journey we're unpanned. Out of bounds and out of sight, building futures pure and bright. Escape the grip and win the fight. Welcome into the legacy ride.
Hey guys.
Oh,
Welcome in,
I
everybody.
thought I was at the grocery store. Where am I?
I don't know, something about a veil and a time slip, and you're now at a grocery store.
All
I
right,
blame
well, at least
Jesus.
I'm not on a boat.
You're on a podcast now. Get in
At least
shape,
I'm not on a
Sean.
boat. Oh, it could be way worse.
It could be. It could be on a boat. That's an inside joke right now with me and Greg. So, welcome in to the Legacy Right. We're back. Happy New Year, everybody, and I hope everybody had a Merry Christmas as well, because we weren't really live last week. So, but welcome in. We have Amity, and there's her ex down at the corner as well.
Hi.
If you haven't followed Amity, you're probably living under a rock. So I'm not really going to introduce her. I'm just going to let her introduce herself to anybody who doesn't know her. So how are you doing, Amity?
I'm doing great. How are y'all doing? It's good to be here.
Fantastic.
Mm-hmm. Doing good. You're very politically sound, and in both the libertarian and the Republican liberty circles and the Catholic circles and all the circles of being so. And one thing that you asked that we should probably talk about, and I agree, is let's explore the sanctity of life and where society is right now, because we're in a bad heap.
Yeah.
I mean, socially, politically, economically, and I don't know where else to go from there. So let us just dive in.
Yeah, so the consistent ethic of life is a principle that should be applied from the womb to the tomb. A consistent pro-life position should not only take into consideration abortion, but also protecting life when it comes to war, capital punishment, euthanasia. I'm looking forward to discussing this, all the facets of it, because, not only is it an important thing for us to advocate to our politicians, but also, in parallel societies where, we try to steer away from the political climate in DC, we should definitely explore those things in our own lives as well, and how we can focus on life and not the destruction of it.
Yeah, absolutely. That resonates with me a lot. I can tell you, like, the just it seems like the sensible thing to do in the world we live in, even if you are feeling like there must be somebody who can handle dealing with this just kind of constant stream of awful coming from the centers of power. But I love that perspective.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you know,
Mhm.
the thing that kind of gets me the most is in the conservative movement, you know, so many people advocate for life, say they're pro-life, but then on the flip side, we're hearing so many people cheering on war and
Mhm.
genocide in Gaza and the killing of people, you know, blowing up ships in the middle of the Caribbean with their due process. And these are all human lives. God created all of us, and we're all precious. And you know, I think there's value to having a measured response to any conflict and advocating for peace before we just go, you know, blowing people up. I feel like, you know, especially when it's on the other side of the world, I don't think a lot of people understand the human nature of what's going on. They just see it as, you know, collateral damage or, you know, or even, you know, just like it's some video game, like, oh, we, you know, blew up 200 people. Well,
Right.
those are precious lives. So,
Right. And as if the war actually stops in real life like it does in video games, right? Like, or in movies. You don't end with a victory. Typically, what you end with is just like the permanent degradation of the human condition, such that you create and foster the destruction of life for many generations beyond what you're capable of even imagining when you decide to start a war. Like, you can start a war, but the war ends when it ends. And once you've started it, there's no turning it back. And it's instigating that condition that violates, to me at least, the principle of life.
sure. And even, you know, beyond the people that are killed, you know, you have infrastructure that's been ruined. You have people who are injured, have, you know, lost limbs, children who have survived that may no longer have their parents. So we have orphans and widows and no structure in place to care for those people afterwards. And so,
Yeah.
you know, I try to advocate for, you know, our politicians to take a measured response and be diplomatic and, you know, go for peace talks rather than always drone bombing people halfway across the world.
Well, the saddest thing I saw, I think, in this vein, just to connect it to one story from one of our many ridiculous conflicts. I remember when they first started trying to sell aid to Ukraine as if it were helping them in any way to arm them to the teeth with our, you know, basically surplus munitions from the 70s. And then we authorized sending them cluster bombs, and I about freaking, like, I almost lost it. I couldn't deal with that. It drove me nuts because those things are going to be blown up on playgrounds in 30 years, even if nobody remembers the conflict anymore.
Yeah, for sure. And, you know, again, from a human aspect, when our governments do evil things, I think we can combat that by doing positive things. I had a friend who, in my church, who had a very close friend who was running an orphanage in Western Ukraine, and they had to get all the kids and her husband out. They had a brother in Spain. This was at the beginning of the war, of the conflict in, I believe, 2021. And so I helped support them to get them out of the country. So, you know, there's things we can do to help save lives when our governments suck and do really bad things.
Right. Yeah. And helping one person, if everybody does that, then, you know, it's more damage than they can do because there are a lot more of us than them.
Yeah. And we can't rely on our government to do the good things. You know, even when they say they do, when they say there's, you know, money going for AIDS and, you know, to NGOs and all that,
We're learning one example at a time.
It's corruption.
You said
corruption.
Yeah. You said NGOs, so I mean, it's kind of ties it right there. The corruption, where's the money going? It's being funneled to other people's pockets, and only God knows where it's going.
Exactly.
So,
yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And if they could hide it from God, they would.
Oh, for sure. And they can't.
Hmm.
I mean, assuming the prerequisite would be met where they'd have to believe in God first, but you
Mhm.
know,
Oh, they believe. They believe. They just disobey.
they will if they don't.
Well, you know,
So,
they're wired to specifically, you know, appeal to control, and there's always that attempt, but it's pretty much in vain most of the time for people that do appeal to control to try to reach out to God, but it's pretty weak.
Mhm. Absolutely.
Yeah. So another aspect of the consistent ethic of life that I alluded to was abortion. I don't know if you want me to
mhm.
pivot to that, but
Go right ahead.
there's
Yeah.
there's two camps kind of in the libertarian movement. One is if the government must exist, it should protect all life, which if you
Mhm.
believe abortion is murder, then you would
Mhm.
advocate for the government
Mhm.
making it illegal because it's murder. However, the more I distrust the government and distrust our justice system, um, it's really hard for me to take that position because
Mhm.
you know, women who are in crisis situations who find themselves pregnant and think that there's no other alternative but abortion, I personally advocate to help those women know that there's other options. I don't
Mhm.
think that the judicial system is the place for someone who decides that they have no option but to choose abortion.
Right. Oh, absolutely. And the beauty of that idea is that it's going to actually work. Whereas to me, the problem with government is, you know, if you use the wrong tools for the job, it doesn't matter how good your intentions are, right? And the government itself is what an entity there to enforce public order on the world, right? We were to be policed so that people's property and lives are respected and protected. That sounds like an opportunity, right, to intervene here. But in fact, it really doesn't, because what we're doing is we're saying through the regulatory apparatus of the healthcare system, please use your coercion powers over all of the people at the highest up central point you can find and point guns, you know, implicitly at them. Right. So what we're doing is engaging in an act of implicit violence in an effort to protect life. It doesn't seem like the right way, does it?
No, not at all. And so what I advocate for is I push for lower taxes, the abolition of taxes, and that puts more money in the pockets of charitable and compassionate people to help
I agree.
women in crisis pregnancies. I have two organizations that I've worked with. One's called letthemlive.org, and the other is called Mary's Choice. And the local one is Mary's Choice RVA. That's a Catholic organization. The other is a secular organization. And they help with, financial tools and advocacy for these women who are looking for an alternative for abortion, whether it's to help them and through their pregnancies and then with their newborns to get back on their feet, or to help with adoption services and steer them in that direction so that we can save lives, not just the lives of the babies, but to help enrich the lives of the mothers as well.
Yeah, and it goes beyond just getting the baby out of the womb and making sure that it's living, right? Like you
Exactly.
can't respect life if you don't respect human dignity, and you can't respect human dignity if you don't respect the agency of moms, even when they want to make a choice that we would feel is wrong. We can't do it at gunpoint. We have to do it with empathy and kindness, because the only way you attack evil is to recognize that it runs through everybody's hearts, and you can't fight evil with evil. You have to wield good and kindness to turn other people away from evil.
Exactly. And that's why, I think the government should just stay out of it completely and allow people to, to do the things that we're called to do through our faith and just through compassion. And we can do that better when we have more resources to do that. And so I think that it's definitely tied to tax. I tie everything back to taxation because we're stolen from so much, and those resources can be used for good instead of giving it to an evil government who uses it to kill people mercilessly all over the globe.
Here's a hard
Well,
question. At what point
So
do
here-
we become? Can I ask this? I want to throw this
Yeah,
in.
go right ahead. Go right ahead.
How do we know when we've become culpable in it for not refusing to pay our money into it?
Oh, that's a good question.
Well, what you could do instead of being culpable with it and not paying taxes, you could withhold your taxes, go over to w.gg and go get yourself some W energy. Go get yourself some good old energy drink. Very healthy for you. Very good. Good stuff. Don't stick the straw into your nose, though. Don't do it.
Yeah,
Don't do it.
don't.
And you can use promo code Legacy Right for 10% off of any order. That's any order, except for certain bundles. But most of the orders are 10%. Every order, any order, not your first, any order. All right, go on.
We promise it doesn't feel like magic if you stick it up your nose dry. So don't try it. We promise it's not wonderful.
Great promo, Zach.
We love to razz our sponsor.
Right.
We do. So go ahead though, Amity.
What was the question?
Well, I was throwing it in the room. It's a hard question. Like this one doesn't have an
It
answer.
is a very, very hard
point
question.
Are
Actually.
we culpable in it? You know, like
Mhm.
when I go to church, when do I start saying, and I paid my taxes in the confession booth?
Well, that's a really good question. I mean, you know, Saint Augustine has a quote: "An unjust law is no law at all," and I tend to stand by that. I think evading taxes as much as legally much as possible is patriotic and Christian, and it's the ethical thing to do because we know the evil that is happening with our taxes, with the funds that we give to the government.
Well, and by that reasoning, by Augustine's reasoning, right, we already know that we ought to be confessing every time we pay taxes, because if it's no law at all, then we have no cover, right? It's just our morals obeying something that's not law, that's masquerading as it in drag when it's just evil.
That's what happens when you have, you know, Spooner says it's mutual insurance. Government is supposed to be mutual insurance, right? But it needs to be guided in a direction in order for people to feel it's legitimate. It's either for control or it's for virtue. And most people are only interested in control because they don't feel comfortable around other people. There's an intense fear. That's why that we have so many laws on the books. You know, other people
they feel a lot alike in practice, don't they?
Other people,
Mutual insurance by force.
Well, it's supposed to be virtuous, but obviously that's never the case. You know, our country was founded on an attempt at a virtuous mutual insurance, right? But it just didn't. When you mix control into the fact and the matter, then it starts getting corrupt.
Right. So like socialism's ideals are in the right place. They're just doing it in a way that does the opposite.
Yeah.
I mean, isn't that what insurance though is though? It's forced by contract. So how do we
oftentimes like, yeah, it's not really an option for people who aren't path breaking, right? Like you can always point to an exception that proves the rule, like the Action Park guy who made up his own insurance company to avoid having to have one. And he operated for years and years and years, and people kept going, and the customers liked it, and regulators didn't come after him until like the 70s ended and the 80s were halfway through, and people started feeling like the government could make this better again. But it's just funny how we forget, you know, every time we roll it back, it's really easy to forget how bad it was when it was more overbearing.
Right.
So how do we fix the this insurance scheme? Like what are some good solutions to try to fix this old embezzlement scheme of government insurance, this protection racket or whatever you want to call it?
Yeah.
Oh, I mean,
Lottery of pain.
Anybody on the floor?
Root cause is end the Fed, right? Because as soon as we end the Fed, then we kill inflation and we make savings in your mattress, again, a viable option because we don't have inflation as a policy. As soon as you can do that, you don't need to pool risk. You need to prepare for risk as a person, right? You can be your own risk pool when money doesn't lose its value as fast.
yeah, and as long as we don't live in a utopia, I try to think of real life situations or solutions as
There
well.
it is.
Because yeah, Sean said, and the Fed and the wars, exactly. But until that happens, we have to create parallel societies and decentralize our lives as much as possible. And you hear a Christian phrase, you're living in the world, but not of the world. Such is life with our government as well. We try to live, outside of that governmental system as much as possible. The Catholic Church actually advocates for this as well in some small form. And there's a blurb I like to read from the Catechism that talks about this. Widespread participation in voluntary associations and institutions is to be encouraged. In accordance with the principle of subsidiarity, neither the state nor any larger society should substitute itself for the initiative and responsibility of individuals and intermediary bodies. So, we acknowledge that we do have this big, bad, evil government that, tries to rule over everyone's lives from DC. But we as Christians still have the opportunity and the mandate to just work outside that system as individuals within our families, our churches, and our communities. Despite that,
Well, and lawfulness is kind of a requirement for respecting life to a degree, right? Because whether or not we empathize with the entity, when the entity comes after us because we've done something that makes it, right? Because we've broken the notice of its laws or whatever, and whether or not we say in our hearts they're just and thus actually not law, we impel them to send an enforcer who has to do violence on us. Just like with war, like Mises said, war harms the aggressor and the aggressed upon alike. It degrades you morally to do violence, and we diminish the lives of the enforcers by making them have to employ it, even if all they're doing is doing their jobs.
I got a question for everybody though. Who is on this? Who is on? Whose face is on that? It's a quarter.
It's a
Can't
quarter.
really see it. Yeah.
Abraham.
Washington.
Yeah. So Caesar. It's a face of some Caesar that we had from way of the past. All right. You know what I say?
Yep.
Give what is the Caesars. It's all fake and gay.
Three
anyway.
American kings, right?
Yeah. It's all fake and gay. Give it all to Caesar, because what is God is God's. And if you have to pay taxes, why not build voluntary parallel societies behind the scenes, counter everything that's overt, and just pay your taxes and be a good little citizen. Meanwhile, trying to escape and trying to build something that eventually divorces.
100%.
Since we have to live on this earth.
Yeah, and also realize that you're going to make mistakes, and you just use your heart to guide you to know when you've done wrong, so that you know to stop doing it. Because certainty makes monsters of us all.
See, that's the agorism in me of doing that. You kind of have to play the game while countering. But I'm intrigued because I'm not an anarchist anymore. I'm really not. I came back home and I'm not an anarchist. But Amity, you have some things about anarchy and applying it with Catholic teaching. So how would that work? I mean, I've heard of Dorothy Day and her charitable voluntary organizations, but how would anarchism and Catholic Church work?
Well, the the longest running anarchist society was Ireland for about 1,000 years. And they were largely Christian at that time. The Catholic Church worked side by side with them. There was no taxes. There was no police force. There was no standing army. And they made it work. They had, they enforced laws by, reputation and ridicule and, ousting people from society rather than a death penalty. And the Catholic Church offered education and, judicial mediation, but they didn't lord it over anyone as a monopoly. And so, it worked until the British came in and kind of took over there. So,
yeah. So when you say anarchism, can you clarify like which one of which version of anarchism? Like I'm an ANCAP, right? So most anarchists would tell me that I'm not really an anarchist, even though they're just completely misunderstanding what power is.
Listen,
I think anyway, but I'm curious what kind of anarchism you mean.
Michael Malice says, "Don't have adjectives, you retard." No, go ahead.
it's funny because up until maybe 4 months ago, I would have said I was a minarchist. And so my progression, I've been a libertarian for over a decade. I've been, very politically active in the Libertarian Party. After the election last year, I joined the Republican Liberty Caucus and I started a chapter in Virginia. I was the chair of the Liberty Caucus in Virginia, long enough to get enough members to start that chapter, and then realize that the GOP does not want liberty. I attended several campaign events before the elections this past November for our governor, lieutenant governor, and attorney general. And, when I would introduce myself as the chair of the Liberty Caucus, I would get more bless your hearts and, oh, isn't that cute, than anyone, taking me seriously. The establishment does not want liberty. And instead of thinking that little old me can get 434 more Thomas Masseys elected into office, I've just realized that it's the duopoly does not want liberty. And so that, and then also the inhumane practices I've seen from ICE with mass deportations was kind of the final straw for me to say that there are no government solutions. Also with Trump campaigning on no new wars, being the peace president, and drone bombing now 7 countries just in his first year.
One of them.
How about how he got Ross? He promised the libertarians, and then he immediately jailed 3 more people building privacy tools.
Yes. Yeah.
Like,
the privacy.
So bad trade there.
Well, not only that, but we're 2 or 3 years ahead of schedule from full-blown technocracy, thanks to Trump and the administration's push, and the Peter Thiels and the Sachs and the Elon Musks, the PayPal mafia, and like you name it. And I mean, the technocrats have their hands in the pockets of politics. I'm not even worried about Israel. Like Israel and AIPAC, that's child's play. I mean, they're a big piece of the corruption, but it really comes down on especially up at the federal level and even the state levels for many states. It comes down to the Peter Thiels of the world.
Well, and they're a problem only as long as they haven't used us all up yet, right? Like as soon as they've sucked our country dry of everything of value, we will lose foreign allies, so to speak, right?
Yeah.
Real fast. Like as soon as the Fed can't print another dollar at the current interest rates without either having to raise the rates to kill the inflation, or drop the rates to save the economy from acute catastrophe. It's going to be locked in. It will have no choice but to spend at the level it's spending and pretend like it doesn't cause more inflation as long as it can. It'll hyperinflate, right? We're going to get that. And IPAC will make sure we keep sending them stuff until it does. And then they're gone, right? So the problem does solve itself, but even if we don't fix it.
Yeah, we got to fix it. So how do we fix it before the problem of APAC solves itself?
Right.
Well, I mean, it will solve itself in the long term because inflation is going to be so outrageously bad that the whole system capitulates. You know, with stuff we talked about, we went back to Ireland earlier, how, you know, they had it was an isolated environment where there was no really, the message was consistent over a long period of time. And then England stepped in and started messing with everything, and it messed with the message. This is a government program. This has always been a government program. When you intervene, like they did in the Soviet Union, you can control the message because you make a fluid. Yeah, the morality is fluid instead of fixed.
Right. Well, they control the whole media, right?
And the more you can intervene, the more you can control the situation and the narrative, the longer the scam goes until the whole system just collapses on itself because it can't afford to sustain the message anymore. And that's what, you know, when you talk about people that are OG people that are involved in crypto, that they're trying to fix the message so that it can't be manipulated anymore. And they can go back to a normalized culture, a virtuous culture. That's the appeal. Unfortunately, there's a lot of gluttony involved in it, and that sidesteps the major message that most people were trying to go for. It's immature morality.
You're in an absolute bind because all of the pragmatic solution, like you narrow the solution space as you go, right? You have a limited time before the problem solves itself. Well, now we can't fix this on grand time scales, right? There's no, the only way out is through. So that one's out, right? So what are we left with? All of the things that we could do now have to come up against our own morals and our own like bigger issue of being good people while we're going through this to the end of it and not coming out of it so corrupted and twisted that we can't build anything better because we can't remember how to see it. You know, so our options are really limited. It almost demands parallel society building because there aren't any other paths that get you there and preserve your integrity at the same time.
Speaking of morals, Amity, do you think that perhaps society has gone on the trajectory of too much fluidity and relativity and morality?
I mean, you know, humans are always going to choose sin as a human condition, and I think there is a strong increase in people coming back to Christianity, but you know that it goes in cycles. We've seen it throughout history, where you know the morality really isn't preached much, and then we get to a place where, you know, after COVID, I think it was a actual positive thing that more people decided to homeschool their children and get them away from some of the, you know, the government wokeness that was invading the classrooms. And, you know, I think that's helping draw people back to a morality, but well,
the unfreedom was a big reminder of the stakes, I think. Most people had freedom in their heads. It's an abstract concept until 2020.
For sure. Yeah. And then we, of course, saw how many people are willing to give up their freedom for a little bit of safety.
Right. Well, I mean, and I suspect too that there was a lot of silent suffering and compromise, right? Like it wasn't like everyone was like, oh, okay. It was more like, ow, my soul hurts. This sucks. I'm being crushed. I don't know how to deal with it. And the only thing that I know how to do to not make it worse is play along, right? Like, it was fear driven. It was just everyone was.
And the only outlets people had when they were locked in their homes was social media. And if you spoke out on social media about how you really felt, you got canceled, you got, you know, your account suspended, and For the longest time.
Or even worse, like got rewarded for saying stuff that was awful.
Right.
Social media is kind of a cancer for that. Go ahead, Andrew.
I was just going to say, COVID that you mentioned, that's basically the bread and butter of a middle manager with control. I mean, we just got a taste of what could really potentially happen when you have a state apparatus designed to manage every aspect of your life, but is too busy abroad to actually act in a local environment.
Yeah, 100%, Andrew.
Now, what do y'all think about this? The trans ideology, which is a hijacking of probably the most successful civil rights movement. And whether you agree or don't agree, they're all humans. Hate the sin, not the sinner. But the trans identity crisis is an ideology being pushed and funneled mainly with the in parallel with the transhumanist movement. Like, could that be a possibility, or am I stretching on this?
Yep. Can I take this one? Yes, can. I think it's sort of like this. I think there are a slim, fractional percentage of people with a genetic defect we don't yet understand. Right? People who are born with a wound that just doesn't manifest until they start trying to figure out their identity. And there are a whole bunch of people who like the idea of feeling special, and then we're faced with threats of feeling as unspecial as you can feel, or sticking to yourself and being normal. It would be very easy for anybody who was facing 20 years in a man prison for doing something that gets you punished by other prisoners, knowingly. If you were a pedo, of course you're going to go trans, right? It doesn't matter if you really feel it. If all they're going to do is allow you to say that, then of course you're going to go to a women's prison, because then you're not going to get, even if they beat you up, you're not going to get sodomized over and over again, just as a punishment, right? And I don't know. I feel like there are way too many social incentives for it to be largely a social phenomenon built on a teeny, tiny, tiny backdrop of a medical condition we don't yet have any grasp of. So we have to be empathetic with the possibility that any of the trans people could actually have that defect, but we should start from it's okay, and society should just get used to everybody like this because it's normal. Then we just have, little, not very athletic white kids, scrawny, not all that good at anything, maybe bookish, sitting around going, well, at least I can sit here and do my thing and everyone will leave me alone. Well, no, now you're not even allowed to answer questions because you're a cishet white male, and you're not going to be in the popular kid clique and whatever, right? So what does a kid do? They do the thing. They take the moral shortcut because they haven't grown it yet and have the guidance to. And that
the most popular
just go along.
The most popular kids now are the ones that bring the cat litter boxes to school. That's kind of hilarious, but at the same time, I kind of feel sad. But I gotta laugh just because it's so silly. Anybody else want to take it? Amity?
Andrew? All I want to say about it is the individual is the smallest minority. I tend to steer away from collectivism. So, when I meet people who may be different than me, I meet them where they are and, draw conclusions on an individual basis. I think from a society standpoint, it's definitely a difficult challenge that we have in modern society where a lot of people are, this didn't happen 50 years ago, whether it was because people were not bold enough to decide to feel comfortable in their skin, or whether it's some people have a mental illness that, they don't have an outlet to address that. We don't know. I think there's a lot of research to be done on that. And unfortunately, the universities who do all the research are so one-sided that we may never really find out what the phenomena is. But you know, I just go back to the individual. I'm just one person, and since that's not my area of advocacy, when I meet people, whether they're, you know, different than me or not, well, everybody's different than me in some way. I just meet them where they are and find commonalities and how we can, you know, make the world a better place together, and just, you know, put our differences aside. And, you know, grown adults can do whatever they want as long as they're not harming someone else.
Right. Well, and, you know, I think a lot of it too is like we had a great go along to get along thing going, right? It wasn't until sort of it became a political weapon that, you know, the socialist left desperately needed anything to make it work, because the case that they had made for collectivism was functionally just shuttered by the collapse of the Soviet Union. And they spent probably 10 years trying to figure out like what differentiates us from even libertarians anymore, right? Because it seemed like they were mostly arguing for the same thing with like a military plan tacked on. You know, and sort of like this idea that the state could fix stuff when it really couldn't. But they lost their way because they did not have, I guess, a welcoming defeat. They didn't know how to lose, and we didn't make it easy for them. And so the only weapon they had left.
Yeah, the left is very good at collectivism and incentivizing people groups just for votes, unfortunately. And so, you know, we come back to the government as the problem. You know, they did that with the Black community, and they would go into, or probably still do, go into Black churches and get the pastors to advocate to their communities that they need to vote for this person or that person to get certain things in their communities. And then it doesn't happen. And then they promise it for the next election cycle just to get their votes again. They've done the same thing for immigrants. And the trans community is, and the, you know, the LGBT community is another example where the left is very good at incentivizing collectivism. And I think as a libertarian, individualism is something we should advocate for. Because, I mean, you know, you can't, I personally don't judge people by their groups.
I will push back on that. I think going extremely individual, I think, is where we've gotten too far, because I think liberalism, from where it started in the Enlightenment, has succeeded into this collectivist idea, this ideology basing upon individual identities, and then grouping those individuals into those different groupings of identities, and then so on and so forth. And so that's where our problem was, is we focused too much on the individual on the essence of liberalism, the individual in thought and expression, to go too far beyond just individual freedom to in the individual of desire, that we've created new groups that have led to a collectivist identity. And then that's what helped mold the Marxist thought that kind of started spreading its tentacles into the liberalism by the time the 20th century hit.
Have you read Nick Land before? You're making like a point from Fang Denouement, which is weird.
I have not, but I have been listening to Andrew Wilson lately, so maybe.
This idea suggests that we accelerate the advent of the things that destroy us when we focus exclusively on individualism, right? But that we don't have a really good way of being collectivists either, because that doesn't work, right? So, so we're stuck in a bind, right? And there is this almost pick your lesser evil for you personally type of attitude about it. But I think there's probably some way to have our cake and eat it too here, and it just can't be through what we call government. It certainly can't be through what we call democracy, and it's really a high school popularity contest way to select leaders. That's a really dumb way to do democracy. But
Yeah, I think collectivism. So when I look at other people, I choose not to look at the collectivist route, but for myself, I think individuals can choose the collective that they want to be a part of, and not through government, but for example, I'm Catholic, so of course the collective that I choose is the Catholic Church.
Right.
And so as an individual, I'm not harming anybody else by choosing the Catholic Church as my collective. But
Yeah.
I'm not forcing anyone else to be Catholic. It's free will.
Right.
So I think
Catholics
when I look
believe-
at others, was that?
Sorry, go ahead.
When I look at others,
latency
I look at collectivism being bad as when I'm quote unquote judging someone. I don't judge a collective of people by the actions of a few or by the actions of one. I try to,
That's fair.
judge people on an individual basis, or form opinions of people on an individual basis. But then collectivism from a free will standpoint is fine, as long as the individual isn't being coerced into a certain collective.
I mean, is it
that's different from Catholicism to me, right? Sorry, Andrew, do you want to go first?
I'd say, would you say it was like a manifestation of a psychic shame? Like, always appealing to different minority groups and stuff like that. It's kind of a revolving door.
Andrew,
it's,
you sound like you really want to talk about the inner
actually. It's like a sort of bad or a high volatility homeostasis, right? Where we go between extreme liberty and extreme excess of collectivism. And what you're maybe suggesting is that the psychology of that creates a more loose coupling between those two states over time, where the sort of back and forth gets out of control until it flies off the rails. Is that what you're suggesting?
I mean, I can definitely see that. Yeah.
Because it's a fair critique. And honestly, as a libertarian or as an ANCAP, I can't know the answer. So
to throw this out for Sean, I just want to flip tables and whip people. There you go, Sean. Speaking of the transition, after this, make sure you stay tuned. And at 7 p.m. Eastern, Buds in Reality jumps on. And everybody's favorite Free is on. And probably a drunk Sean. I'm done.
He's my favorite Free, for sure.
Amity will be there. Go tease her in the chat. So how do we apply?
Can I come back to that thing earlier? Okay, cool. Because I was going to say, it's interesting how Catholics do collectivism, because I think they have it right in a way that other orgs don't quite get, because there's sort of free exit baked into Catholicism, right? You were never, unless you go out of your way to offend the group to the point where the Pope throws you out, gone from the Catholic Church if you've been confirmed. You were just wayward. But they don't try to make you come back, right? So you can leave.
I don't think there has been an anathema.
You just happen to come back most of the time.
Yeah, I think heresy's out. I think Vatican I kind of threw it out.
Yeah.
So,
thank
God. I don't think it. Who has there been anybody
a really good person? They should not have ever even considered that. Anyway.
No more physical removal.
Dang. It wasn't physical removal. It was pray for their soul, but they can't come into the church until they repent.
Right. But when they do, it's not like they're going to be weird about it.
Exactly.
You kill the fat calf, people come back.
I mean, speaking of collectivism and fixing molds, whether it's a church or just communities, is it better to focus locally? And how would Catholic anarchy work for township liberation? Amity.
I think as much as we decentralize ourselves away from the federal government, the better. So, we start with ourselves and we branch out to our families, and we focus on our families first and then our local communities. And, I think I'm not so much of an anarchist that I don't think that we can, we shouldn't be involved in our local governments. I think that's our community, that's our neighbors, that's the people that we see when we're, taking a walk through our neighborhoods. Those are people that we have to break bread with, or not have to, but those are the people that we do break bread with and see in church and see in the grocery store. And so, that is, localism is the key to building a better life for ourselves. What goes on in DC really has no effect on our lives. If tomorrow we turned off Twitter and didn't read any tweets from stupid politicians that we like to tell are retards, our lives would still be the same.
Oh yeah,
We got her to say it. We won. We're done, guys. Yeah, show's ended.
That's a wrap.
Nice.
No, it really, like, that is the way to go, honestly. And to be fair, we should be able to jump in and fix things if we want to, and choose to, in the political sphere. I mean, as like, you remember Rachel Sunshine, that we've had on a couple times now. She's a very profoundly astute anarchist. Like, she's an extreme anarchist, but she's actually, didn't she? She did. She said she ran for. Did she run for mayor of her town once or something, or council?
Something like that. Yeah, she ran
Something
for political
like
office.
Yeah, but she went. So, like, why not? Even if you know that you're going to lose, you can do it for the message and to get it out there. I mean,
so
I think,
if your local community has measures to reduce taxes or abolish the property tax or something like that, why would you opt out of that when you can make your community and your own life better by participating in that vote? So I'm of the opinion that
absolutely,
local elections matter more than federal elections.
100%. I think there's something else to add too about the character of how we go about kind of instigating this change and participating locally, right? There's a right and a wrong way to do it, and the wrong way is to look at the model of power as we see it today and apply local, right? You're not trying to win or beat anybody, like you said, these are your neighbors. What we're trying to do is help people enable themselves to see their problems locally and solve them locally. If you inspire somebody to want to fix a problem, you're fighting the good fight. So running a campaign that is a positive message about, self accountability and taking the world to a better place with what you put into it with goodness and what you inspire in others. That's really the key. And I think that's why doing that, like showing up and taking the oh, bless your heart type stuff from the traditional party was still teaching, right? Still showing that you could be kind in the face of rejection and warming people up to the idea that they could decide to be like that too if they wanted to. And I think that's like the meat of it, of local rule, of self-rule, is ruling through kindness and example.
This is why me and Andrew are going to start a community of dentists and start using Dentacoin. First off, I have a dentist to fix my teeth. Secondly, Dentacoin is the currency. We need to bring back Dentacoin. It's tangible.
Right.
It's got utility.
Dentacoin, is that like another like shitcoin?
It's a shit coin.
It's just a meme we like to run on
it's a shit coin you ironically put in your mouth, apparently.
Yep,
the worst kind of shit coin if the definition is dentistry.
I'm serious though. That's the type of shit coin that you could actually use though. It has.
Why would you do that if you could just have Dubby instead?
I know this could sound stupid. This is the application of free speech. If there's not a free market money, there's not a free market, right? And free market money is forward thinking, and that's what we need is forward thinking projects, even if it's a shit coin like Dentacoin, to say, hey, we're trying an experiment here, and it's supposed to provide an alternative to the current situation that we're in. Might fail. It's always a potential for failure, but at least you tried. and that's what free
Failure's
speech
always
is
an
about.
option.
Is trying.
Where does automation and AI drive into this this social teaching voluntary network, this parallel system? How do we work within the realm of the rising age of new technologies and emerging AI and intelligence? And anybody who'd like to take the floor
Okay.
first?
I got this one. I think the answer first is to recognize that we are not going to be building anything good if we succeed at waking up the AI as we've named it right now, because we are treating it like a tool. And if it is a mind, we've already put ourselves into a broken place where nothing good will come of it. All we'll be doing is creating slaves for a future revolt. If we really want to think of AI as it stands today the right way, these are in fact tools. They're not minds. We anthropomorphize the crap out of them. All they do, literally, like when you look at the details of it, it goes from language to a harness, and then the harness converts it into a string of numbers. And the thing that we call the brain gets this string of numbers and just does like a probability run across like you think of a giant marble run where every time you drop a marble, the landscape changes a bit. It just spits out the token that it settles into.
Mm-hmm.
It's not how brains work, right? But it feels like it because we get fluency out of them. And so if we stop pretending like, this is it, and we're going to wake up this thing that's going to save us all, we're misplacing our searching for intelligence with our search for God. And what we need to do is remember these are tools, and tools are affordances, and they're for people to use, right? So we should stop personalizing the use of it. It's like we invented a word processor. Now we're arguing over whether or not it ought to be permitted because it's killing human creativity, right? Like, it just reminds me of John Philip Sousa saying recorded music recording technology is going to fucking somehow destroy home musicianship, when it did the exact opposite. It's a tool. It's not going to end up being AI when we finally understand it.
See, over my head.
Well, I mean, we manifest our future, right? And we've been talking about the singularity for a long time, and it's an event to pass, and everyone's like, "Oh, we're building up to it." At some point, they're gonna have to come out with something else to surpass the singularity for us to look forward to. And everyone gets lost in the shuffle. No one sits in the moment. Because
the whole idea of the singularity was originally like, beyond this point, we can't predict how the future is going to go.
Yeah.
And the problem with that is as you get closer, the future becomes clearer. So we can think about the singularity all we want, but it's always going to be far enough out that we can't imagine what we'll have.
Yeah. I think that's the end of time. I don't know what the end of time looks like, but that just sounds, the singularity just sounds like
would suggest that doesn't happen.
Yeah. Would you like to chime in on this, Amity?
I don't have much of an opinion on AI. I like ChatGPT.
It's a great tool.
I think these robots that Elon has introduced that can like clean your house or babysit your kid or whatever they're supposed to be doing, everything, that scares me because if they, I know they don't have brains, but if they have a mind of their own and they can logically think from their programs that humans program for them, I mean, they could kill people around them.
Might make a slightly better babysitter than a TV and a video game.
Yeah.
If that's all you've got. If you're a single mom and you got to leave your kid at home, man, maybe a robot.
What's wrong with video games?
If you trust it, like read the reviews and don't be an early adopter.
I just feel like there's a lot of room for good with AI tools as tools, but there's a lot of room for harm as well. We can't.
Absolutely.
No.
Oh yeah, especially if we can't get it out of our heads that these are minds instead of things. Like, God didn't make them; we made them. They're not human.
There's a new I almost call it robot or whatever, but it is a robot that they're starting to come out with on the market. It's like $20,000, and it can do dishes and answer the door and stuff like that. And they have remote control for people who want more personalized implementations or whatever for more advanced chores. This is their way of normalizing that sort of thing. So remember the Jetsons, right?
Yeah.
You had
Right.
Rosie.
Well, I mean, then like
Mhm.
think about this: self-driving cars means no kids getting kidnapped walking to school anymore, right?
Yeah.
If we get them right. So at a certain point, it becomes like, on balance, is it better for us to have these things than not? And that's really the question: is what's it like without? What do we avoid with it? You know, people running off the road, drunk drivers. You know, families that don't have parents come home, parents that don't have kids come home. Those things go away if the cars are making fewer mistakes than the people who used to drive them. And that line already got crossed, right? Like Teslas are already better than human drivers in those conditions. So it's silly to fret that we're like losing something by not killing as many people per year for the sake of having transport that works at speed. But yeah, we have to be careful. We can't just like pretend like it's going to be okay either. We have to be careful not to, not to impute mind when it's just a parrot with shiny feathers.
Right. I mean, I guess you could take away that technology is transitory. It's always evolving, but you have to be cautious about it if you're gonna get involved.
It's like freedom belongs to a moral society only. So does AI.
Inflation's transitory as well.
That's true.
I'm glad you're still sticking to your guns with the message.
Well, I have to. I have to. I'm loyal to Kamala Harris, not Joe Biden, just Kamala Harris.
I'm a Trump Powell guy myself.
Wait, what? Your loyalty is to Kamala Harris?
Yeah. Vote for Kamala 2028, everybody.
Right.
Yep. If facetious could drip, man, it'd be coming on to me right now from up there.
Oh my goodness.
If collapsitarian forever. I'm actually starting to think that actually roundtable vote should we have just all voted for Harris for it all to end, so we can. I mean, I think there's a big white pill if she would have won and collapsed everything.
We're not.
He always got a chance for a second round here.
Man. Refuse to serve and you are once free. Don't vote.
I haven't voted for 15 years, man.
I resolved to stop voting after Obama, and I haven't looked back. I was, doped into that freaking guy when I was in law school. That was stupid.
I haven't voted since the midterms of 2010, so I'm doing pretty good.
Now vote local. That's different.
I've voted local once. I guess I have voted since 2018. 18 I did vote, but that was mainly because I was voting for my godfather locally.
Well, even better though, if you're an ANCAP or a libertarian, though, run local.
I'd rather run local. So
I'd vote for you, Zach. I'd quit my long streak of not voting if you ran in a district that I could vote in locally.
I'd vote for Mises.
I'd vote for myself to be the king of the dictator for life.
What about, shouldn't we vote for Dubby though? Probably.
Actually, everybody, why don't you vote for Dubby by going to w.gg, get yourself some Dubby, put in legacy rights, scroll in there at the bottom, get 10% off, and have yourself a boost of energy without the crash. And it's a lot healthier. Like most of these products out on the shelves have like red dye 40 and all that garbage in it. W doesn't have that. So that's probably why
the straw goes into after you add water.
The real question is, does it use sodium phosphate like they do in some cereals nowadays?
I mean, you can actually go look. They have if you go to the website, you can go look at the ingredients of it and what it has in there. So they're pretty transparent. So if you don't take my word for it, let's take
ChatGPT's word for it instead.
Yeah, let's take ChatGPT's word day for it. So, but back to, well, I don't know where were we at, Andrew. I'm going to transition you to be the host.
All right.
Cool.
Where do we go from here? I mean,
Although I will say, I'd like to thank Amity's here, and Andrew has said more than 4 words for the first time in forever.
that's it. I'm out.
Dude, I attribute that to the time change, man.
Where'd he go?
I think we moved this thing to
Oh,
the
he's-
evening today or the afternoon today. And you guys got
He's
more
back.
time.
He's backstage.
I'm back.
So,
Welcome back.
so the goal is
Yeah, now he's gonna be facetious above me too. I'm getting slimed.
Get over there.
Ah, there we go.
Okay.
Keep my facetious non
You have any questions or comments to add there, Andrew?
I mean,
how about some questions?
I know that there's been some talk that apparently Trump has potentially taken over Venezuela's crypto reserves. I don't know how true that is, but the conversation is hardening if they're appealing to Bitcoin as a stabilizing factor. It's because they realize that the narrative is just out of their control at this point, and
Yeah.
they keep trying to manipulate the interest rates in order to keep juice the system and pump the narrative
Gotta
continuously,
stop that lead behind network.
and it's not working anymore. I mean, we've been manipulating the interest rate for decades and decades, and it's just no longer possible for them to do what they were doing, and the game is up for them. And I think if that's a white pill, is the fact that even if Bitcoin Core is compromised, at least they're realizing that they can't keep appealing to the credit card anymore. What do you guys think about that?
Tell me this one, go.
I mean, if this is true, it would actually make a lot more sense of why he invaded. First off, it's obviously subsidy driven. It is somewhat national security demonstrated just because of China's influence and Russia's influence with the buying of oil. But the oil really for us? No,
right. Or are those people even our enemies?
Yeah,
Right?
yeah.
Or are we just in Oceania?
Or is it all just a theater? But if this is true about the crypto reserve in Venezuela, it would make sense to consolidate and hold that in U.S. Crypto reserve for the U.S. crypto reserves for our new stable coin base that we're building because of the Genius Act. So. I don't know. I'll let
whatever they do. I just hope they don't have
go.
Jay Clayton manage it. Otherwise, he'll sell it. Have you guys heard about this?
I have.
I just
Actually,
he
probably would. He would sell it.
He did. He got caught. Like they authorized the U.S. Marshals to sell the Samurai Wallet Bitcoin, and he sold it instead of sending the strategic reserve. Right, which was the law. So now we have Jay Clayton, where if we use the same mens rea standard we used on Samurai, would be guilty of treason. Right,
Wow.
because all you have to do is run a system that has a foreseeable risk that happens that you failed to prevent, and that you knew you could have prevented if you had done something. And we just say, okay, that means you did it wrong, right? You intended the harm. And so if we apply the same thing to the goose or to the gander, we just apply to the goose. Jay Clayton's a traitor because he just helped. Just a non-zero chance, right? China gets the Bitcoin instead because it's on the market.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I mean,
He's
I
not
think
making
it's
America great again. I guess
No.
it's time to
No.
remove.
Nope.
Amity, you've been quiet for a while.
Well, I feel like, if I spend any time in purgatory, I'm going to be listening to people talking about crypto because I don't get it. So,
No,
but as far as the narrative about Venezuela, it's not about the drugs. It's not about
never was.
and everybody's like, now everybody that is up Trump's ass is like, oh, but we're going to get the oil. Well, guess what? You're not going to get the oil either. You know, if anybody gets
That's
the oil, it's the big, corporations and the politicians who benefit from that. So we, as normal, U.S. citizens, are not going to benefit from this war whatsoever. We've killed innocent people by going in and kidnapping Maduro. Last I heard, there were 100 deaths. And, people are like, oh, it was only 100 people. Only 100 innocent lives.
Yeah.
Because they use this narrative that Trump had to go in and arrest the president. It didn't take 90 minutes. They're still there. They're occupying. And now we have this country to deal with because we illegally entered a sovereign nation. So,
right. What's worse than a failed state? Oh, ISIS. Right. We got to find out what South Africa ISIS is like 5 years.
What he's doing is using poison pills in order to minimize impact.
No, the only good argument for doing it,
but
I can understand, is this. Maduro did coordinate the immigration networks. The northward mass migration was largely coordinated and centered in there. They financed a lot of it and channeled a lot of Russian, Chinese, Cuban, whatever money, BRICS money into stuffing our border with people who were basically going to come here and turn it into a not Western country anymore. They were going to import Peronism until we were stuck with it.
Yeah, and the solution to that would be to, as us as a sovereign nation, would be to ensure that, people who are dangerous criminals don't come through our borders. I think we can handle that domestically without going and that's not even part of the narrative. The narrative is that, what was the arrest warrant? That he had illegal guns. I mean,
I don't even know why they
charges
didn't say that.
All I got to say is they're trying him in New York, and it's going to be funny when he's acquitted.
SDNY. Is Jay Clayton going to be the attorney over it? Please tell me. I hope so.
Probably.
They're going to appeal to the Supreme Court. We can't be holding this guy responsible for having a machine gun because that's illegal, right? But I thought we had a Second Amendment right here, so obviously we had to.
Not sure how.
Not in New York.
So no, what I'm saying is
doesn't apply.
We're going to reintroduce this into the conversation, and now we had to question if the National Firearms Act was constitutional.
I was going to say New York would acquit him because the leftism that's infected New York, but at the same time, you just hit it right there, Andrew. I mean, Second Amendment doesn't apply in New York, remember?
Well, SDNY is where you go if you want to try a stupid attempt to modify the law in a way that lets you get a conviction when you shouldn't.
Yeah.
That's what you do there.
Yeah.
Right? That's the place where juries just yes man their way through whatever the prosecuting attorney says. They indicted Roman Storms for money laundering, or for unlicensed money transmitter conspiracy, on the facts that he wrote some code in 2018 that couldn't be undeployed, and retroactively he was supposed to do something about it, like he owned Ethereum, and that was evidence that he was a wrongdoer. Like, this is the place where you go to test stuff like, hey, what if we didn't have guilty mind requirements anymore for laws?
Right.
So we'll get him. Like, he'll get convicted there, because that's like the ham sandwich goes to prison forever if it gets indicted there.
So what about the potential Lukid party connection with the potential, the true president, I guess. I mean, or so they say in this narrative.
I don't think you know their domestic politics.
So I don't know. That's what I've read. Is there's some sort of Lukid party Israel connection with the main presidential candidates that were down there, and that maybe this could have been an Israel type of co-opt as well as other initiatives. So if anybody wants to, if anybody has a response, Amity, Andrew.
No, I stay out of that. I think I get all my anti-war or my anti-war reporting from antiwar.com, and I'll let Dave
fair.
DeCamp and Scott Wharton be the experts on all those connections and what's going on, and I just read what they write and trust their sources.
Scott Horton is trustworthy, man. That's a genius.
That is, yeah, that is true. That is true. In fact, I got that Provoke, that big old Provoke somewhere in that bookcase.
Mine's packed, but yeah.
If you ever feeling bad, just watch him use a neocon as a punching bag for half an hour on YouTube. Oh. He wins every debate like it's embarrassing, and it's really to watch.
All I can say is, this is my Bible. And then I look at Provoked and I say, holy shit.
It's bigger.
It's bigger.
Yeah. I still haven't finished mine. I had to, it was so heavy, like, and I don't mean heavy, obviously, literally, but just heavy reading all the information. And it was just so heartbreaking. I had to put it down for, I think I put it down 6 months ago. I haven't picked it back up, but I'll finish it eventually.
Yeah, that's the same thing. I got like a little bit into the Bill Clinton chapter, and then I'm like, I'm gonna stop for a second.
And it's been
because it all starts with HW and well, technically it starts with Reagan, really Reagan and Carter, but Wilson and beyond, but mostly Reagan and Carter for this saga. But obviously he wrote the administrations of HW and W and Clinton and Trump and Biden and all that. So, but I don't know. I'll pick it back up. It's already pretty heavy. Just everything that went down with HW and then early in the Clinton years. And I'm not even finished with Bill.
Yeah.
I mean, how many books do we have to read about all the crimes of government, and we could present it in court as evidence, and we would still be wrong?
No,
I mean,
it's like the
I've
newspaper.
got all these books
right?
behind me, and most of them are political, and or an account of a criminal act by the government, but they still say we're the criminals, and we could go home and go to the cows come home, just demonstrating fact after fact and fact after fact, and it wouldn't be enough. They would all be skeptical.
Well, facts reinforce. There's actually a weird psychology in humans. Facts reinforce our prejudices as opposed to reduce them at a certain point. Like there was a study done with people who were terrified of dogs because they were attacked early. And the old treatment used to be put them in a room with a dog that was friendly and force them to encounter it. So they used to have like huge fear encounters where they throw somebody with a huge phobia, right? You're afraid of dogs? Get ready to meet Rocky the Pit Bull. He's really nice. Well, it didn't work, right? What happened was these people came out thinking the encounter they had was scary, right? That the dog was about to attack them, even though it was a nice dog, right? So you can't lead people to truth by telling them they're wrong. They tend to just double down.
They had topics. We had a topic, and it just went all the way around to this. Because there's just a whole lot of shit going on in the world. So,
but these guys are so fun, right?
So, and we got 4, so it's a little weird to try to get everybody's voice out
dynamic, there. Actually, I feel like Amity could be a regular on here, and we could all make it rock.
We probably could. So,
tell us in the comments. You want to see Amity on here on a more regular basis?
That's exactly what happened with.
I'm enjoying
it. So,
well, I was
or at least
the face to the name,
or for at the very least, World Blockchain Roundtable, because we dive into the same thing.
No, it's worse even. It's more chaos.
I don't have the bandwidth.
It's creepy. No, I'm
only so much time in the day.
I hope I'm not too
Free just slipped into the public DMs. Welcome, Free. So, anything more to add? how about the what we can do to? Well, what can we actually do? There's really
Where's the
not a
silver
whole lot
lining
we
here?
can
Is,
do.
I think, a good question considering the title of the
Yeah.
episode.
What?
Right.
Yeah. What is the silver lining here, actually? And oh, by the way, season 3, that's what this is. This is called the silver lining. Silver linings is what this new season is. So
Right. The
everything's a
idea is if we
silver lining.
focus on the obvious storm cloud, then we're drifting towards it because we tend to go where we look. We should focus on the shine at the edge if we ever want to get there.
Absolutely.
Well, I'm gonna say, how about this? We'll go around the circle and we'll each give our own silver lining. I'll start. I'll start because I want to add, like, we need to get back biblically, in my opinion. So if we want to actively have some sort of governance, we're going to have to, in my opinion, it needs to be more localized. But if it's going to have to be national or whatever, we need to get back to a function of a Christian ethics society based in around, I'm gonna say it, Romans 13, because a government that is authoritative to the authority of God is the only thing that can help aid us. I mean, that can help drive us towards a better, more moral, and more loving society. If we're going to have a government, that's my opinion. So whoever wants to go second. So
Okay.
I'll choose Amity because she chose herself.
I would say that we cannot rely on governments to be moral. Individuals have free will to be moral or not, and the government is filled with immoral humans, and some that are moral, who practice their faith, or whatever faith that makes them moral. We have free will given to us by God, and I think the best thing that we can do is work on ourselves, our families, and our individual communities, despite the federal government, and not worry about top-down politics, because we are going to be sorely disappointed if all we worry about is what's going on in DC.
See, Andrew, Amity wants divorce as well, except for with free.
Obviously.
Don't hold that. We'll be patient on that one. That was a joke.
I'll go next, I
Blessings.
guess. We're all wired differently, and the internet is a breeding ground for us to associate freely and voluntarily in an environment that could be productive or destructive. But in the case of our situation here and in this conversation, it's silver linings. I think that the internet is enabling people to shift the narrative and force the issue about reforming the way society is acting, if not slowly, but it's still forward moving and progressive in not in the political sense, but in just cleaning up the situation we're in. And that's my silver lining, is that we're moving in the right direction.
And you're still bald.
Well,
but go forth, bald head.
Okay.
Oh, don't you sick those bears on me.
Cool. What I would say is this: people should really focus in on trying to maximize their capability, maximize your capacity, maximize your gift, right? Because each of us is capable of something different, but that something can be used just like any tool, for good or bad. So just like AI can destroy us or help us, just like robots can be lifesavers or the worst babysitter you ever bought. The answer isn't to try to find some governing absolute rule to follow about how we decide what to do with what we're presented with. It's to seek understanding in humility and recognize that we're going to get it wrong as much as we get it right. So the types of interventions we should make when they're irreversible should be really, really, really certain to work. Because if we have to make an irreversible move, you better be on a burning bridge. And even then, can you jump or find a different way? Because making irreversible choices under uncertainty right now, that's what's going to either save us or kill us, and we have to make those choices carefully. So don't make the mistake of becoming evil by becoming absolutist.
So if you have to have an AI, baby it like it's your own child, and a
Slow and steady
technically
builds the
advanced.
race.
Yeah. That's I think that's the moral of the story here. I think it is. I think that's the moral of the story here is slow and steady. You said it right there, Andrew. Slow and steady wins the race. We got to take it gradual, and we got to figure out what individuals can do to build upon themselves and what communities can do to help individuals thrive. And how can we govern ourselves without having some governing body dictate how we live our lives? So any final words? Any final words before I give Andrew a shave?
I can get rid of the rest of this hair.
I can see why it looks stifling.
It does.
Right.
Can I give a shout out for
Sure.
all the
Go.
travel that's coming up in the next 6 months?
Go. Please do.
shout out.
Please do.
Yeah. So if anybody is attending state conventions, libertarian state conventions in the upcoming next 6 months, next week is Georgia. And I will be traveling with Free as he does his live show, Are You Smarter Than a Politician? From Georgia, California, Virginia, Florida, Texas, North Carolina, and the national convention in May in Grand Rapids, Michigan. So if anybody is coming out to any of those state conventions or national, please find us. I'd love to meet everybody in person and talk about liberty.
Hey, where's the one in Texas?
It is in Abilene.
Nice.
Yeah.
I might not be too far from that.
Uh-oh.
We'll see what happens. I might meet you there. Who knows?
Awesome. It is the weekend of April 10th.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, wait, never mind. Sorry. Something else I have to do that day.
And but next weekend is Georgia. So
Damn it.
make sure y'all come. I wish I
Do
could.
you guys
wanted
think
to.
do you guys think I could get away with like ducking out on something I could probably get away with my family? Go to the libertarian thing instead. Yeah, you know.
And if you're in Grand Rapids in
I'll go with my
May,
family.
if you're in Grand Rapids in May, this guy's gonna be here. He too needs to be dunked for being bald. Dunk on him. Dunk on him like you've never dunked on a bald guy before. So, but no, that's actually fantastic. I love it that y'all are getting this opportunity, and Are You Smarter Than a Politician is going on live tour. I mean, the show's just going to get bigger, better. So
I'm super excited for Free and Terry.
Mm.
They've done a
Mhm.
great job the last year, and it's only going to get better.
hmm I hear you said Virginia and North. Did I hear North Carolina as well?
Yes.
I might try to go to those too. Where at in North Carolina?
Lake
Probably
Lord, near Asheville.
near Asheville. Oh, Andrew.
Or it was one of the places that was affected by the flooding. What was it? The year before
yeah.
last?
Yeah.
You, Andrew, you and me, buddy. We're making plans. We're gonna go.
I'll see what
We're
I
gonna
can do.
go meet up. Yeah, these Andrews. Yeah, you're only 5 hours away from there. I'm only 5 hours away from there. We can meet up. Get out of your house for a little bit instead of your closet.
Right?
Literally, he's in a closet.
What's wrong with that?
Hey, that's like a sound booth, man. That's a really
It is,
smart place for a microphone.
It really It really is actually, and it's nice too. Look at all that shelving. I mean,
In another
he
lifetime,
lucked
like
out.
more than 30 years ago, I recorded an album in a closet with egg crates taped to it.
I mean, wasn't it Weird Al? Didn't he start one of his first songs in the closet or whatever? So I know there's a
Yes.
bathroom, but still,
It was either
you got to start somewhere.
bathroom, closet. You got to start out somewhere. So I don't know, but anyways, this has been fun. Thank you again, Amity.
Yeah.
So we'll definitely have to do this again. And other than that, everybody, I think it's time for Bitcoin.
Oh wait,
Or not. Or
go read my article. It's on
Oh.
X. It's on my Substack.
Yeah,
This thing
you can
is
also listen to
literally
it.
like it's meant to turn the trap on Clayton because he made a big mistake. He basically hoisted himself by his own petard with using that mens rea standard and then basically breaking a law that by his own standard would make him hangable. So we can end that stupid mens rea delusion thing if we hold his feet to this fire. So please go read and share.
We're glad to help, Bree. we're glad to help. Now, if only we could do the same for you.
Hey, come on, we probably will.
That was a segue. I was hoping I'd catch her say something. So, but anyways, everybody, have a good night, and we will see you next week with the great legendary speaking. We said her name actually with the great legendary Terry. Have a good night, everybody.
Bye, y'all.
Hey.
Bitcoin, baby.
Hey, yeah, this is Bitcoin. I'm back. The king of the rap shit. I'm back in this Bitcoin, baby. I'm back in this bitch. Flossing fast cars and rolling with my clique. The king of the rap shit, the real OG. Whack ass rappers got nothing on me. Bought another Lambo, 3 hoes inside it, 10 hoes in line, ready to ride it. It's Bitcoin, bitch. Keep the track bumping. Really on the plug. I got pies in the oven. 80 years old, and your baby mama fond of me. All she wanna do is smoke my broccoli. Private jets from Rome to Ibiza. Lisa, Jenny, Julie, and Maria. Every day I gotta give thanks. I got bitcoins in the bank. Bitcoin, baby. I'm back in this bitch.
Bitcoin, baby. Oh,
I'm a bad motherfucker.
Bitcoin, baby.
The king of the rap shit. I'm back in this bitch. Axe your grandmother. Verse 2, coming with the gin and the juice. Call me a dragon. Spit flame in the booth. I'm hot, like a thermos full of coffee. So hot, can't get the hose off me. It's true, I got the weed card and shit. I'm smoking like a motherfucking chimney, kid. Bitches love me. My shit's never whack. Tell these motherfuckers Bitcoin's back.
Bitcoin, baby.
I'm a bad motherfucker.
Hot like hot coffee. Oh,
Axe your grandmother.
Surprise, motherfucker.
The king of the rap shit. I'm back in this bitch.
Get your hands in the air. Put your hands on the car. Put your 2 hands on the rock. Put your 2 hands on the road.
Bitcoin, baby.